7 private individuals from 7 different EU countries have launched this ECI. If the European Union could overcome these difficulties today, the EU could be the leading economic political power of the world, one of the leading economic political power of the world. And we see at the moment, at the same time, that there are so many populist, hate-monger, and also corrupt politicians, European politicians, who are attacking the core values of the European Union, and also using EU funds to weaken checks and balances, to weaken media freedom, and also civil society. These funds given to a country because of to develop its deprived regions, deprived areas. And inside of that, these illiberal states using these funds and the government's oligarchs to build its own media, propagandistic media, and to build its own economic life to maintain power, to maintain these illiberal states. And that's why we have launched the Stop Fraud with EU Funds ECI. We want ex-ante preliminary controls in risky areas. These ex-ante preliminary controls should cover complete exploration of all circumstances. All of these circumstances should be published. And finally, we believe that it leads us to a more competitive and a stronger Europe by using budgetary resources better. I strongly convinced that we must avoid that the EU penalize the poor nations, by taking away the EU funds, because we think that, and that's why we propose ex-ante preliminary controls. Because of that, by taking away the war EU funds from a country, the illiberal politicians can turn against the EU, a war country. That is why we count on the support of all of the mainstream EP groups. So thank you again, Mr. Mavrides, and also Mr. Stars, to be here. And also we would like to ask especially the anti-fraud NGOs of Europe, so thank you, Mr. Catalan, also to be here, to have this initiative and to support this initiative. Don't let illiberal populists and corrupt politicians can use EU funds to maintain their power and to maintain their control in any given EU country.
Okay, I will try to give a very short statement explaining why I'm hosting and supporting this initiative and this event today. First, I need to say that this is not just about money. The reason why I view this initiative as more than just money, it's the fact that European citizens' money are being misused by specific governments against the fundamental principles and values of the EU. That's why I think that there are issues, legal issues, political as well as ethical issues, why we support this initiative. If we allow some governments to misuse European citizens' money, then it would be a matter of time when some other government would do the same thing. That's why we need to act, as has already been stated, proactively, and not to allow this to spread around in other member states.
I'm here as a Belgian MEP, active since 1999 in the Budgetary Control Committee. So I'm not an expert in fraud, but I'm an expert in combating fraud, which is much more important. When I was informed about the Citizens Initiative, I immediately went to the website, I signed it, so that is at least already one signature in Belgium.
One important
No, I support it because it is fully in line in what we do since decades in the European Parliament and in the Budgetary Control Committee. We know there are problems in Romania. We know there are problems also in Poland. I myself, I am quite active in the whole issue on how to make sure that there are no conflicts of interests between those who, those political leaders whose countries get financial support from the European Union and their own businesses. One of the cases is of course Mr. Orban in Hungary, but we have the specific case, the very specific case of the Prime Minister of the Czech Republic, Mr. Babiš. So my message is this citizens' initiative 3 months or 4 months before the European elections of the 26th, 23rd, 26th of May is a very important initiative because it brings into the debate the whole issue of frauds, on how to stop oligarchs, how to combat corrupt regimes, and how to combat illiberalism. And that is for me the most essential thing. Each time there is a scandal, such a scandal gives oxygen, gives fuel to Euroscepticism. So all my support, and I hope you will succeed in getting 1 million signatures, so that we have a new tool to put pressure on the new European Commission and to make sure that this issue is one of the core things of the next Commission.
I'm the director of the Transparency International EU office. We are, as a network, as a movement, very, very supportive of this initiative, not only in Hungary, but in the other member states as well. And our national chapters will be busily promoting this citizens' initiative in those countries as well. So I want to speak just very briefly about 2 practical things that could be done if we get this citizens' initiative through. The first is about a concept called the Integrity Pact. And the concept is pretty simple. You get the contracting authority, the public authorities, and the bidders to sign up to enhanced transparency measures. We're going to subject ourselves, importantly, to independent monitoring from civil society organizations. What I would say would be another good ex-ante control is that politicians in countries or public officials in countries that haven't signed up to the European Public Consultation should be required to submit their financial declarations to a body like OLAF, and then it would be up to OLAF to look and check to see if those financial declarations represent any conflict of interest in terms of receiving EU funds. I very much hope this citizens' initiative succeeds and that the Commission will take action on the basis of this initiative. But I don't think we need to wait. I think a lot of what we're discussing now can be done tomorrow, right? We're in the middle of discussing the next EU budget. We are in the middle of discussing what the rules are that will govern that budget. So the common provisions regulation will need to be discussed and agreed in the next months. And these kind of controls, these kind of measures, we believe, Transparency International believes, could be placed within the common provisions regulation.
I understand why Hungary is of special interest with regards to this initiative, but there are other member states, and I will give you a good example of that, which would be affected in a very positive way from this initiative. I will tell you the case of Cyprus. As you probably know, when the Republic of Cyprus joined the European Union in 2004, it joined the European Union with still unsolved the problem with the northern part of Cyprus being under Turkish military control. And I belong to those politicians who supported at the time very strongly that we should prioritize more political needs and support the Turkish Cypriot people residing on the northern part. But actually what came to our attention over the years is that much of this money, unfortunately, are being misused.
And it's on behalf of the Greens that I talk here. I think the only solution in the problem that if you penalize the end beneficiaries by taking measures, the only way to assure that the money still goes to the right beneficiaries is making or assuring that the Commission takes a direct management roles. If you see that there is a member state where there is a problem in the authorities and the politicians.
I think what would be a more fine-grained approach is you say, okay, we'll do an assessment. There should be a public assessment, by the way, of threats to the rule of law. And on the basis of that assessment, there's a number of options.
Yeah.
We can either have stricter controls, like we just discussed. If that doesn't work, we put the distribution of the funds in the hands of maybe an independent NGO, like that's the Norway grants model, or maybe the Commission takes over direct management. And then only in the last resort do the funds stop flowing completely. And I think that would be a more intelligent way, actually, of using discretion.